You know how it is, Chance. Boom! We're back with another Sage Ramble TV episode. It's episode 6, and we will cover. I'll just jump straight in, and we will cover overcoming the person versus overcoming the objection. So I guess like whether it is overcoming the person or overcoming the objection, like you are objection handling at the end of the sales process if you aren't addressing certain concerns at the top of the call or throughout the call, like you are dealing with concerns. So if you watch this, you're most likely familiar with objection handling, whether it is like think about it, partner, finances, fear, and I know on top of your head you probably got 37 more objections you can fire out, but we will speak on specifically on like the emotional aspect of dealing with concerns, and we'll just run it through and cover them all. So let's just go through what we actually mean with overcoming the objection. Like what's define objection for the folks in the back that have no idea what we are talking about.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So an objection is a reason why somebody can't move forward, right?
Right.
Whether it's thinking about it, whether it's got to talk to the wife, whether it's I'd rather do this next week, whether it's, oh, I got a friend calling me, I got to jump off this call. You'll hear them all. There's a million. I can sit here 20 minutes and just talk about all the bullshit excuses, aka objections, why somebody can't move forward. Now, there are genuine concerns, right? A genuine concern is not an objection, right? Like I had a lady tell us that she can only put a down payment down because she's getting a major back surgery and she wants to be able to focus on the program moving forward. That's a genuine concern. I took a down payment. We're going to collect the rest when she recovers from her surgery. That's not an objection. That's I can't do anything with a broken back in a hospital bed, so I want to wait, right? I get that. I'm a human. I'm not all about the commission breath, right? But when I think of, and David, feel free to jump in here. When I think of overcoming the person or overcoming the objection versus overcoming the person, the way that I see it when I'm on a sales call is I'm overcoming the objection so I can overcome the person, right? Because more times than not, an objection is not actually the underlying reason why they're not moving forward. It's like a knee-jerk reaction, right? So what I like to compare it to is when you're shopping in a mall and you go into a store and that salesperson jumps at you, hey, is there anything I can help you find? Your initial reaction is, no, I'm just looking, right? That's how most people are. And on sales calls, a lot of times I feel like that knee-jerk reaction comes out, no, I just want to do this, I just want to do that. All right, so we need to overcome that. So then we can overcome the person, which is a whole different topic. I don't want to keep going on here, dude. So, I mean, I can, but I'm gonna let you go from here for a little bit.
Yeah, man. So it's been very recently because I've been overcoming the person without knowing like the name of like we are overcoming the person. I've always called it long-term objection handling. So the way I've gone about it is whenever I would go through each and every one of these, like think about it, like it would be a freaking rodeo. Like I would go think about it, partner, money, finances, like clear all of these out. But if there's still something holding them back, that's when you overcome the person, which can be like literally anything. It can become a very emotional call from that point. But just like you mentioned with the mall, one question I got for you that just came up is, how do you like come forward with people that has like underlying concerns? Is there a way to spot them very early? Is there a way to, I don't know, man, just share the magic.
Yeah,
share
man.
the risk.
So, my sales process is kind of unique. I don't want to say it's really unique, but it's different from a lot. So I go over price pretty early in the call, right? So there's no financial objection. I go over how serious they are about pursuing us, right? I go over if today's a day that they're going to draw a line in the sand and commit to the life that they want, or if it's something they're going to put off. I go over, at the very top of the call, is there anybody else who needs to be here so they can benefit from me answering any questions, right? It's a way of saying I want to help you, but also if anybody else is involved in this decision, they need to be on this call. I try to pre-handle as many objections as possible. So when I get to the end, it's just overcoming the person. It's the fear, right? Or it's the logistics with the investment, which is overcoming the person. It's the emotional side of things, like you said, where, they're scared, or they've been burned before, or there's this or there's that, right? That's the stuff that I handle at the end, as opposed to think about it, speak to the wife, this, that, all those other reasons, right? I'd be more than happy to kind of break it down on a logistic way, but for the sake of time here, I mean, we can save that for a whole nother discussion if you want. Speaking of what we got building as well, so
that's it, man. We gotta, we're having these episodes to share the juice, but yeah, we gotta keep some for ourselves too. So that's cool. I guess, like, would you say there's a difference between overcoming the person at a B2C setting or a B2B setting? Because I've probably been 80% of my career been in an B2B software marketing selling environment.
Okay. So we've got very different perspectives in, because I've been in BizOp B2C for the majority of
that's like passive income, 9 to 5 people wanting to get out.
Exactly. It's people that like have $5,000 to their name, and I'm asking for $10,000.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, it's a whole different world, right? The overcoming the person there isn't really like your side of things. It's more of, I don't want to say it's the only overcoming one, but fear is like the biggest one, right? Fear of failure, fear of spending money, right? That they mask as some other objection that you got to pierce through, like think about it and speak to the wife and that kind of thing, right? But I'm curious to hear, man, like, what is in the B2B world? How do you handle that? Like, what is overcoming the person on that side of things? I've never been in B2B.
Oh man, all right. So I mean, because on the B2B side, I've sold some B2C, but I've noticed on like B2B, it's more of what works, what doesn't work. Talk to me about the numbers. I'm doing great now. I want to have impact. I want to do this. It's not like if I ask like an impact question that you and I are both familiar with in the passive income space, it's like, shut the hell up and talk to me about the numbers. So it's a very different environment. But most of the times, reflecting towards the B2C, it's fear. Now, B2B, what I've seen is that people are getting burnt, and that was like the most common objection I got while selling marketing, because there's so many marketers out there. There's 20-year-old doing this, 21-year-old doing that. There is the 30-year-old veterans that weren't at all updated or on social media at all in the marketing realm. So the way that I tackle that, we just, like I said before, I would go through all of these different objections, but at the end, if that would be overcoming the person, I'd just be a brick wall. Hey man, we've chatted about this. We got path A and path B. What is it that you want to do? Like, there's no shifting, turning around. Like, you just become like a brick wall and let the other person decide. If it's too uncomfortable for them to take a step, right? There was one brick and mortar business, very nice lady in Spain, that has done marketing before but got burnt. And that was the conversation that we had on our call, and he just started to spin in circles, loops, her agreeing. And like, that step was also like a very big burden. So at the end of the call, hey, I'm not gonna spin around the block with you, but here's the paths. What is it that you want to do? She eventually enrolled, and a month later she was a testimonial, so that was a good feeling. But yeah, I mean, we're crushing it right now for the clinic, which is good.
Bro, I love that. Yeah, I had a guy last week, last Friday. I spent like 20 minutes handling this guy's fear. And it got to the point where like I could hear he was getting upset because I wasn't giving up. And I was like, listen, dude, like I'm not going to give up on you, right? Like, you're trying to rush off this call and give up. And like, I love what I do. This is what I do. I can sit here all day with you. Like, I can reschedule my next calls, right? Like, and literally I do the same thing you do. I give them a binary option. Either you do everything we just spent an hour talking about doing, or you go back doing what you said you don't want to do. The choice is yours, right? And he took option B temporarily. And then Monday morning, he messaged me asking for the payment link. I sent it over and he enrolled. right? Because it's one of those things where we can only get them so, like, what's that old saying? You can lead a deer to water, but you can't make them drink, right? Like, we can get
Yeah, I
them
heard
to
it.
the finish line, but they have to step over, right? And some limiting thing was just not letting him step over. And I spent forever helping this guy, man, to where he said he was going to enroll Monday. And he's like, listen, man, I know you get people that say this all the time. You're probably going to go back and, tell your team, haha, look at this loser. He's not actually going to join. And I was like, dude, it's not about you being a loser, right? If you're going to join Monday, join today. What's the difference? Come to find out, he had a kidney infection. He wanted to wait until he had healed from the kidney infection until he enrolled, because our program is 12 months. As soon as they pay, that timer starts, right? And in his head, for some reason, missing out on 3 days when he was sick wasn't worth, like he wanted to wait until he was healthy enough to actually take this on. Him and I talked about that on Monday, and I was like, dude, why didn't you just say that? We spent 20 minutes fucking arguing, essentially, not literally arguing, but like we're just walking in this endless loop when you could have said, I've got a kidney infection. I want to wait until I'm good on Monday, right? Or good enough on Monday when I get my medicine and dialysis and all that stuff. However they treat that, to where I can do this. And I was like, dude, we could have saved all of that. Like, why didn't you just say that, bro? Come on. And those are the kind of people who, when they say they're going to join, and I don't know why I didn't do this. I brain farted on the call. Even, people like David and I make mistakes. I get their credit card info, or I do a down payment, right? If they're like, oh yeah, I'm going to join Monday, 100%. Okay, then let me collect your credit card information and we'll just set it to auto draft on Monday, right? And then I literally set up a back end payment to where it just pulls out Monday and then they're in, right? Because that'll test if there's any last little hesitation that we have to overcome. But yeah, man, you gave a personal story, so I wanted to give a personal story there.
No, that's powerful, dude. And man, the B2C conversation seems to be more enjoyable than, I guess, the B2B world, where
It's more emotional. But we get some B2B people. So I had a
yeah.
guy last week. He's in software sales. My program, the biggest piece is the software. Like, that's literally what they're paying money for Amazon FBA. And he was basically like, yeah, man, I'm in sales. Like, I would really appreciate it if we could just treat this like a business conversation. You give me the facts and I'll make a decision. I did a little bit of a discovery, because obviously we have a process. I got to figure out what his goals are, and I got to see if we can even help him, right? Because that's part of our job, is to actually see, ask questions to determine if there's a fit. There was a fit. And then at the end of the call, he told me that it checks all of his boxes. He likes what we do. Da 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 da. He established an LLC, and he's getting a business line of credit this coming Wednesday, and he said he's going to enroll. So I did.
Yeah.
I did all of my work in terms of tying him down, all that good stuff. Collected the deposit. So as far as I know, Wednesday he's going to join. So I mean,
Oh, that Wednesday has not come yet.
no, that's this Wednesday. Mm-hmm.
This Wednesday. All right. Well, by the time this one uploads, we'll have an update on if that enrolls or not. But yeah, we'll see. You have to, add Chance on Facebook, give him some followers, and you'll stay on top of what he's doing.
Absolutely.
Yes, shameless plug.
Hey, Lina, thank you, man. Appreciate it. Let's see. You are objection handling at the end of the sales process. Yeah, that's a great point. So I don't just want to hijack this conversation here, bro, but I want to talk about objection handling at the end of the sales process. So basically, I don't think that's a good strategy. I don't think it's a good technique in the B2C world, right? In my personal realm, I don't think it's a good strategy to wait to the very end to handle all their concerns, right? And that's where pre-handling comes in. That's where being specific on the questions you ask and, how you ask them and when you ask them are going to allow you to essentially know if at the end of the call, or I guess I should essentially know if it makes sense to even get to the end of the call, right? I don't know about your world. In the B2B, do you do like objection handling at the end, or do you try and strip it out?
Man, it's very much the same. you pre-handle, address as many concerns as you want with one partner, and then if you want to have another GM come on, then you do the same with this guy, because if it sucks, and I think it's sucks exponentially in B2B, right? When you get to the end of the call and you haven't addressed like projects and timing. They say like, oh yeah, this is like 4 months down the road, we're having this and this and this and this and this planned already, and we don't have time for this. So it's 4 months down the road. That sucks. I've done it. It's not good. And once you've done it and you just hit the rock, you just never again, never again.
No, there's a very specific question I ask at the end of my pitch. Obviously I temp check them. And then the final question I ask before I decide if I'm going to price drop is, how soon did you want to put this into place? If it's any other answer, but as soon as possible or today with 100% conviction, then you try and handle it, right? Like I had a lady I took a deposit from, and she is applying for financing. They're calling her back tomorrow. I think this was Thursday or Friday. I honestly forget. But I'd asked her that question, and she was like, well, I think pretty soon. And I was like, what is I think pretty soon? Like, what do you mean by that? She's like, well, I would like to do it as soon as possible. And I was like, okay, do you think you want to do it pretty soon, or do you want to do it as soon as possible? And she's like, well, yeah, I want to do it as soon as possible. I just don't know what the price is. I was like, price aside, right? Because you've got a serious problem, obviously talking about her pain and all that stuff. Like, how quick do you want to get this going? And she was like, well, as soon as possible, like yesterday. And I was like, okay, cool. So then, I did a couple more questions there. Obviously, we'll save some of that juice for later, but had to make sure she was willing and ready to commit, right? And then turns out she doesn't have the finances, but she put a $500 down payment. She had $1,000 to her name. She gave us $500, right? And she's going to try and finance the rest because she has a 670 credit score, which is cool. I mean,
yeah,
it's questions like those where, like you said, if you don't ask those certain questions, people might be like, yeah, I'm looking to take this on in 2 months because of XYZ reason. It's like, fuck.
yeah. And if you don't open up the conversation where you give someone that opportunity to tell you that, oh yeah, this is a 2 month long, program, or a 2 month long research stage for us, then you're never going to find out. So dude, this conversation been valuable so far already, but like for you in your situation, what would you say is like the major differences, like the pros and cons between, let's say, like overcoming the underlying problems versus just talking very surface level with prospects on sales calls, looking to buy or looking to enroll or looking to solve a problem?
Yeah, can you elaborate what you mean there a little more? Like, what are you asking, bro?
Like the differences from coming forward with like some fear or opening up that conversation like early on in the conversation, or waiting towards the end of the call.
Oh yeah, okay. I see what you're saying now. Yeah, man. So it's a really good question, bro. First things first, man, I feel like prospects respect you more when you handle it early, because everybody's been on a sales call, unless you're talking to like a 78-year-old man who's never invested in himself. They know that 99% of the sales world saves the price towards the end. They know that 99% of the sales world is going to try and oversell them and paint this picture and, get them on cloud nine and all that stuff. So I feel like if we bring those concerns up early, not only is it going to be a, what's the word I'm looking for here? Dang it. I'm brain farting on it.
Like genuine or like authentic?
Genuine, yeah, but pattern interrupt, right? That's what I'm looking for.
Right.
Pattern interrupt, because it's going to interrupt that pattern that they've come accustomed to, right? Where if you bring up these concerns early, it's going to feel different, right? It's not going to feel like an actual, like a sales call, right? And it's going to feel genuine, and you can handle them early. And not only is it going to save you both a lot of time, right? Like I had a couple of people last week who were like, yeah, dude, I couldn't even do $500 a month. Like I'm paycheck to paycheck, disqualified. Sorry. We talked for 15 minutes instead of an hour, right? Whereas if I would have went through the whole process, didn't handle any of those concerns, it's like, yeah, we'll talk about that at the end, I would have wasted an hour of his day. I would have burned an hour of my day. I don't want to say wasted because I love talking to prospects, but on their end, it is wasting, right? I would have burned an hour of my day to get to the end and go, well, sorry, there's nothing we can do, man. Right. And that's why I think it's super clutch to handle them as early as possible. Obviously, you don't want to go, hey, David, yeah, good to meet you. So it'll be 10K. Here, right? That's not what we're saying here. You gotta ease into it, right? Certain questions you ask. There's another thing that I think is really important. I'm kind of just rambling here, dude, in the title here. Is fluctuating your emotions, right? So like you don't want to be too energetic and too happy and too joyous, but you also don't want to be that sales guy that's like, yeah, so today we're gonna because nobody likes that person, but you don't want to be like, man, David, I'm super excited to be here today with you, man. Because that's like a car salesman. That's like, ugh. I know you're gonna ask for my money. I don't know about what you've seen on your side, like with how that helps doing it early.
No, I mean, like, doing it early. I mean, it's it's pretty aligned with your points. Like, I don't think like it's just like the differences in like the knowledge of customers, I believe, in B2B and B2C. Like especially if it's marketing, like I noticed that a lot of my prospects are very like they know what we provide. It's not like they're stumbling across Amazon, hey, I don't know anything about this, how do I make money, passive income is not real, and having those concerns. But like people know what we do, and it's marketing and it's software, and it's all about like, does this decision make sense, or should I get this one in the back than this one in the front, right? Mm-hmm. But yeah, man, it's very much aligned. It's very much aligned. I had another point, but it just slipped out of my mind just right now. Man, I guess I know, man. It just slipped out of my mind. I don't have it anymore.
No,
it went grown 2 legs and walked down the wrong way.
Nah, man, this is a really big topic. I feel like we could spend hours and hours talking about this, to be completely honest with you. But I guess, yeah, just to reinforce the, hang on, my Zoom disappeared. There we go. To reinforce the handling it early, nobody likes, on either side, prospect or closer, nobody likes handling concerns for an hour at the end of the call. Sometimes we have to do it, absolutely, because some people, there's those percentage of prospects that are just so concern driven that even if you pre-handle every single one you can think of, they're going to throw some more at you at the end of the call, right? But nobody likes that weird pushy back and forth, right? The handling 1,000 concerns, because at some point, in my opinion, if you do it for so long and it's like super pushy, it's going to get to the point where the prospect doesn't feel like you're trying to help them. They're going to feel like you're trying to take their credit card, right? Which is obviously the end goal of a closing call, if it makes sense, is to collect payment. But we don't want them to feel like we're only there to get their payment, right? And sometimes I feel like closers in this world, the way they handle objections and how like, and I love him, he's a great closer, but how like Grant Cardone smash they are with like, you're going to do this or be nobody in life, right? It's like this weird, I don't know, man. I've heard a lot of sales calls where I'm like, ugh.
Yeah, you got to say a yes and no and not a maybe, like that sort of stuff. But yeah, it just came up with, it's like, the light budding, with when you get a new idea, that it just came back because you spoke on like energy and being like a call salesman or coming off of a call. It's like, they were talking about the sales process and like managing your tone and energy. Is like certain parts is quicker than the other. Let's say in I'd say mostly in consequence, I tend to slow down a little. Like you don't want to sound like super excited that's, I don't know, some like talking about the negative stuff of someone's life. And let's say someone says that their dad died and now they're stuck with, the estates that are left, you don't want to sound excited, hearing that. So slowing down a little, acting neutral throughout like consequence phase, and just managing that whilst you're asking, let's say, about finances. Sometimes with prospects, that can be a very, like, for example, in Sweden, we're not very used to talking about finances openly. But in the US, what I've seen, me entering here is like, how much do you make? Oh, I make this. And it's like to the exact 5,128.4 like dollars per month. So it's like a different like culture change, and it's how you manage your tone. Don't want to turn this into a tone call, but like it's important when you do ask sensitive questions, especially regarding concerns that matters to people.
It is, because sales is an exchange of information and it's a conversation, right? When it stops being genuine is when it's scripted and they can feel it's scripted, and you're asking questions to just ask questions, and you're asking every single question in the exact same tone with the same voice inflection, right? I completely agree with you, man. When I'm future pacing, I'm speaking with an upward inflection. It's positive. You want to speak kind of fast, right? You want to go from point to point, get them in that awesome, sense of mind. And when you're doing consequence, you need to slow down, bring your voice lower, right? Serious. What happens XYZ, right? If you don't make a change, this happens, right? And then they tell you their story. And it's, yeah, man, I completely agree. Not to talk about tonality, because part of that I feel personally is a myth, right? Like it's not like, yeah, I feel like people focus on tonality in the sales training world way too much. It's an important piece, but yeah, you got to have a genuine conversation, right? It can't just be asking questions to ask questions, and especially if they've already answered them. A big mistake that I see when I'm listening to sales calls or like call reviewing for my buddies is they'll ask questions off their script that the prospect already answered earlier in the call, and they'll be like I just told you XYZ. And like you can do it because they don't.
Everyone does that.
It's gonna be hard to close somebody who doesn't feel like you're listening to them, right?
Yep. Nah, I mean that's something that I've done as well. Like I think everyone has done it at some point, and then just realized, oh shit. Because when someone actually says, dude, I just told you X, Y, and Z, like you kind of like feel stupid if you just look out of the script and like, man, what am I doing? What am I doing? He just told me. So you chatting to a friend and you're saying the exact same thing, and your friend goes like, dude, are you even listening? You dumb fuck. Yeah. It's like that.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
No, exactly. I've been there, dude. Don't get me wrong. I've done it numerous times, right? Especially like if you don't get a lot of sleep, so you're going heavy off your framework and you're just like, you're going through the motions, right? There's reasons behind it in terms of excuses, right? Because you never have an excuse to treat a prospect like a customer, right? Just to take their money. But no, man, he said that was funny, bro.
That's another clip. Anyways, man, we've hit our 35-minute mark. Either way, we've developed or just packed this call with value, and hopefully the people watching here can take a thing or two away from this and perhaps apply it in their own mindset or process. But yeah, dude, any
one more thing I want to talk about? Give me like 1 more minute. It's around objections. This is the objection call. And I'm looking at your points that you wrote down. Helping someone through think about it, partner for your finances, right? What the most important part about objection handling, and this is some free content here, is isolating the objection, right? We need to isolate the objection, then we need to anchor the emotion, and we need to figure out if that's the one thing holding them back, right? So isolate, handle them one at a time. Sometimes prospects who are fear-driven will throw everything at you at once. Speak to the wife, think about it, this. We need to isolate the objection. We need to anchor the emotions, and then we need to figure out if that is the one thing holding them back. And if not, just ask them. One of the most successful tools that I have in my arsenal, again, I'm giving this shit out for free. What is the one thing holding you back from executing on the confidence of getting started? Right. And I'll just tell people, like, they'll give me all these reasons, and I'll be like, yeah, dude, that's bullshit. Right. What is the one thing holding you back from the confidence, or what's the one thing holding you back on executing on the confidence of getting started? more times than not, if you've built a connection with the prospect, they're just going to tell you. They'll be like, man, I don't have the money, or I'm scared, or what if it doesn't work out, which is fear, right? They'll give you the reason if you just ask, right? I just wanted to touch on that real quick, because this is the objection session. Just a little bit more of free value there, man.
Oh, good, man. And we could even turn that. Hey, if we get enough requests in the comments, we can even turn isolating each objection into a series where we deal with them live, and they can tune in and watch us. I just break each and every one of these down and get the value, make more sales, make a comfortable living, serving people.
I agree, man. 100%. I would love to do it. I don't want to say objection battles, but I don't know, dude. I just love handling
boxing matches.
Yeah, I love it, man. Like, obviously, if you do your job right, there's not going to be a lot, but I almost look forward to at the end of the call, because it's a challenge. It's like, okay, how well can I handle these, and how much on my game am I today? But hey, we're just rambling here, man. I'll go ahead and let you handle the outro, and then we'll peace out, bro.
Yeah, man. And I'll take over you for this one. Remember to subscribe, hit the like button, hit the bell to stay on top of our uploads. And this is it for episode
six,
episode 6. And we'll peace out for now. All right. Boom.
Later.